Hey YouTube, it's Atticus. How's everybody doing? I am back with you with a really cool game. So I figured I'm going to start doing a series on my channel which will show you guys different builds, how to counter the new DLC armies and races and stuff like that. So not really races, but the new units and the new meta and stuff like that. So yeah, I know the last game I did was pretty short. I just wanted to show you a cool Lizardmen build to fight the Druchii, but now in return I'm going to show you a pretty reliable way of dealing with the Lizardmen if you expect them to try to exploit their air force. So with the new lizards, they obviously have a really powerful new air force. Like, these guys really rule the skies, and it's really changed the meta in which the Dark Elves play the lizards. Before, you would have free reign pretty much just to control the skies. You could attack at will, and there wasn't really much that they could do about it besides maybe shoot at you with chameleon skinks on the ground. But that's changed. Now the Lizardmen are the most powerful air force in the game, in my opinion. Like, nothing can really contest with them with things like these Ripterdactyls and tic-tac-toe and all these things. So that really changes the whole match, the whole meta in this game. Bringing things like Marathi up in the air now is risky. Bringing a Dreadlord on a Pegasus up with the Raven Heralds is now risky. So I was doing some brainstorm. I met this guy right here, Spartacus Lord. He's a really, really talented opponent. We've played like maybe 5 times throughout the years and stuff. And yeah, we played 3 games. I asked him if he would try Lizardmen, and yeah, just try different builds because I wanted to find ways to beat him. So this one, the first game he won, I have that replay too. I'll show it later on. This is the second game, which I won't spoil anything, and then we did a third game, which was against Skaven. So let's go ahead and jump to the builds, guys. So for my Lord, I am bringing a Dreadlord, sword and crossbow, and I'm putting him on a cold one. So usually I would put him on the Pegasus, but since they control the air, I just need something. He's going to be on the ground. I need something that has a little bit of armor piercing if they try to goon him and land on him. And yeah, he's going to be really good. Mainly why you take him though, guys, is you need the numbers. You need to go cheap on your Lord. You can't take a super powerful Lord and then have a really skimpy army, because you're just going to get overwhelmed. So yeah, in my experience, go cheap on your Lord. For my magic, I brought a Sorceress of Death. So I just wanted the Black Sun, Purple Sun, and Spirit Leech. So one thing you're saying with the new Lizardmen units is they're not bringing Bastiladons with the healing Rejuvenation Crystal. You know the one I'm talking about, the ones that are healing. So that means if you could do any damage to the lizards, they're not going to really heal. I'm starting to notice that people aren't taking advantage of having the Revivification Crystal. So yeah, I figured that would be a pretty smart pick. For my front line, you guys know that I love them, and they've proven themselves so many times, and I was like, well, I need a unit that could both deal with like red-crested skinks, but can also deal with any Ripterdactyls. So I went with a front line of Black Corsairs of Handbows. And yeah, these guys are the natural counter to most of the new units that the lizards will have. Red-crested skinks, the Great Axe variant, yeah, these guys will destroy them. They don't have shields. Ripterdactyls, yeah, these guys will shoot them and do a lot of damage to them. Chameleon skinks, yeah, these guys have 80 armor. They'll be able to trade with them. So yeah, these guys are, in my opinion, something that you should consider when trying to fight the Lizardmen, because yeah, they just have so many powerful tools. So yeah, I put 4 of these guys up front. You can see that I've spread out my forces too, because the lizards have so much magic damage, like DPS spells, like Ruination of City from Lord Mazdamundi, or that orbital spell on the Engine of the Gods. Like, so many things that if you're grouped together, these guys will just absolutely shred you. So you want to spread out your army. It's really important to do that. So yeah, I got the front line of that. I have a secondary line that consists of Dread Spears. I have Black Corsairs, and you need at least 1 dedicated anti-large guy, or armor piercing, because what are those guys called? The halberd units, the Tomb Guard. Is that what they're not? Tomb Guard, but you know what I'm talking about. The ones, Lord Mazdamandi's protectors. I'm having a brain fart. So you need something. Temple Guard, there it is. You need something that can at least deal with those guys. But yeah, the Black Corsairs will be plenty enough to deal with red-crested skinks, be able to deal with Saurus and things like that. So yeah, I got them, some more spears, and then I have a third line in reserve here that has more spears. So yeah, these guys are just to deal with any backline harass, Cold Wind Riders and things like that. And they can also protect my secondary line line if Ripperdactyls try to land on them. You can see that I also have one bolt thrower, and I wanted this just to put a little pressure on them. Usually if you have an artillery piece, it will force your opponent to have to waste some of his micro, some of his mental power trying to deal with it. It just puts a little bit of pressure on them. So for 700 gold, it's not that really big of an investment. But yeah, the real surprise, guys, is I got a unit of shades, and you can see I have them all the way hidden in the back, and these guys are going to be mopping up anything that gets past my first initial lines. So say some Ripperdactyls try to take advantage of the back, maybe they're hitting these Blacker Corsairs, yeah, these shades will come and do a lot of damage. And last but not least, we have some Cold Wind Knights, and yeah, these guys are obviously going to be filling any holes, looking for any openings. They'll do really good against Ripperdactyls, and yeah, if there's any big dinos, they'll be able to deal with them as well. So that's my new build. I've tested it. It seems pretty strong, so we're going to see how it goes. So yeah, with Spartan Lord right here, he brought a really powerful Air Lord, so he's really trying to take advantage of the new meta that the Lizards have. So for his Lord, guys, he has Tic-Tac-Toe. Where's he at? There he is. And if you watched my last game, you saw how powerful Tic-Tac-Toe is. He has a lot of powerful buffs for air units specifically, so he's going to make these Ripperdactyls just beast in the air. And you can see their combat stats are good, guys. 90 speed. They're getting melee attack buffs, they're getting defense buffs, they're getting weapon strength buffs, they're getting everything buffs because of being next to Tic-Tac-Toe. So he has 2 units of normal Ripperdactyls, and then he also has the Colossodon Hunters. So these are the anti-large ones, and these are going to be really good, powerful. If I'd have brought like a Malekith up on a dragon, or somebody on an Ultra, these guys will just shred them. So you have to really be careful of these guys right here. Also, he has the Regent of Renown. Fox Sentinels. So yeah, these guys are really powerful. They have a physical resistance. They have a really good drop rocks, and yeah, these guys will just be really good at dealing with, say, like I'd have brought any Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter and things like that. For his actually infantry contingent, guys, you can see he has 2 Chameleon Skinks here on the front, and yeah, these guys are good. Normally they would be able to trade pretty good against Shades and things like that. They have a 40%, I believe it is 50 or 40% missile resistance, so they are going to be a little bit of a nuisance for my front line of Blacker Corsairs. They're going to have to waste some ammunition on them, but these guys have 80 armor, so the Chameleons aren't going to do as much damage, and if they're shooting these guys, that's fine with me. So yeah, the 2 Chameleon Skinks right here, and then for his infantry contingent, he has some Skink cohorts, the Legion of Chikawa, and these guys are really powerful because they have that missile resistance aura. So when I have a front line of the hand bows, these guys can actually protect them for at least 45 seconds while that buff is active, and it's actually really good against artillery too. So if you're coming up on an approach and you're expecting a lot of artillery, pop that buff. It'll make sure that your units in that aura will take 45%, or it's either 40 or 45% less missile damage. So yeah, really good pick. Then we have some red crested skinks, guys. We have 2 normal ones, and then we have the Crowheart of Sotek. So these guys have the 2 refuse to die. And they're just really, really powerful. They have poison damage as well. So yeah, pretty good, cool new army. It covers all the bases of some of the new units, and yeah, I'm gonna be really curious to see how this goes. Well, I know how it goes, but I'm hoping you guys will be curious. So right off the bat, as the hot dog said to the sloth, let's go ahead and start the match here. I apologize for that long introduction. I just really wanted to explain some things, and kind of just give you some pretext to what's going on here. So we're gonna start just marching ahead, guys. We're gonna have the Blacker Corsairs start opening up, and yeah, you can see that my bolt thrower is obviously going to start shooting these Colossodon Hunters. I definitely want to get those guys off the map. You can see now we're going to start having the Blacker Corsairs start shooting amongst the Chameleon Skinks, and yeah, guys, this is what I'm saying. Like, look at the volleys. I'm hardly taking any damage just because of the armor that I have, but these guys are going to take a lot of damage, even though, they do have that 45% missile resistance, so we're really countering those guys. You can see also it's keeping him having to be very defensive about his air units. He's not wanting to rush ahead and make any mistakes. You can see that I'm coming up with my shades. I'm going to try to shoot these Fox Sentinels, and yeah, we're just being really careful, guys. We're trying to look for an opening. You can see I'm going to get my first Purple Sun. I was trying to get it on the Legion, and I was hoping that it would kind of veer off to the left here, but it didn't do as much damage as I was hoping, but it did do some. You can see the front lines are starting to collide, that we're just shooting the Colossodon Hunters, and yeah, I'm keeping 1 spear unit in reserve here trying to protect my bolt thrower. So yeah, the front lines are getting ready to collide, guys. The Harkon Executioners are going to be a perfect counter for the Legion of Fox. But yeah, my Sorceress of Death is a little bit exposed. You can see Tic-Tac-Toe is going to land on her, and he'll actually do pretty good damage. All across the map here, guys, you can see that my Dreadlord is providing that ranged overwatch. We got my Handbows doing the same things, but a really powerful. It looks like it was a wind spell that really did a lot of damage to those guys. And you can see I'm going to get a magic missile on the Skink Priest right here. I forgot to mention he did have a Skink Priest of Heavens with Wind Blast and Curse of the Midnight Wind. So he was able to take one of those down to almost half health. I do get my missile attack. You can see that my Black Orc Corsairs actually just shred through these red-crested skinks. So yeah, Black Orc Corsairs are the answer to those guys. Here in the back, you can see that my Cold Wind Knights do get into these chameleon skinks. So yeah, it's looking really powerful for us guys. And all across the map right here, my range units are just shooting into these Ripperdactyls. And you know, they don't have the best of armors. Just look at how much armor these guys have. So yeah, 45. So yeah, they're definitely a good answer to those guys. And you can see that my shades are also just shooting into the back of these Ripperdactyls, and I'm really trying to focus them down. Let's go ahead and speed it back up here, guys. So here in the back, you can see the opponent is going to try to land his Colossodon Hunters onto my Bolt Thrower, but I'm going to have those Spearmen come and try to support, and they're going to be be able to protect it. So yeah, guys, you can see that my Cold Wind Knights are able to shut down some of his chameleon skinks, and we're just doing a really good job. You know, my Black Orc Corsairs are fighting amongst these red-crested skinks, even though my opponent is going to get a Curse of the Midnight Wind, so that's going to make it a little bit easier for him to fight my infantry units. Here you see Tic-Tac-Toe does break my my Sorceress, so yeah, that's really unfortunate, but I do have some spears coming, and hopefully I'll be able to catch him in the air before he lifts back up. Over here you can see that the Colossodon Hunters are just getting shredded by my Black Orc Corsairs. I mean, just look at that, guys. So much ranged units. You got the Bolt Thrower shooting in on them, and it's just pretty much the same all across the map right here. You can see that no matter where he goes, I just have so many range units that are just destroying his Air Force, and this is, really a good counter. My opponent is wisely going to send the Colossodon Hunters into my Cold Wind Knights, and he also has these red-crested skinks coming, so I am going to lose those guys, especially since he did get the charge off. Here in the center pocket, guys, the Fox Sentinels are going to, looks like they're going to try to land, but yeah, these Hambows are just firing where they're moving. The Dreadlord is also firing, and yeah, I'm going to be able to turn him around with his armor piercing and be able to, combat them as well. You can see that we're going to have another really powerful windstorm by my opponent, and yeah, my Sorceress is back, so I am going to get a Spirit Leech here pretty quickly. You can see that I have been trying to focus down the Skink Priest. I wasn't able to, keep track of Tic-Tac-Toe, but he is going to land on my Dreadlord. Luckily, my Dreadlord's on that Cold One, as I said, and I do have these Spear units who are going to be able to come and reinforce that line. Here, you can see that my Shades now have dealt with all those Pterodons on the right flank. So yeah, we're going to be able to start focusing down this Skink Priest. And we just have so many, ranged units shooting at him. And you can see that my opponent did use Curse of Darkness, which is lowering my Winds of Magic, and that's just a really good pick. I really appreciate that. You can see I do get the Spirit Leech, which is going to melt his caster, and yeah, now it's just down to Tic-Tac-Toe and my Dreadlord, especially with the support of all my Shades and my Black Orc Corsairs. We're going to be able to win that engagement. And here in the center, guys, you can see that my Harganeth Executioners were able to chew through his Saurus. The same thing with the cohorts. Here in the back, though, he did get killed, my Cold One Knights, but yeah, I just have so much ranged Overwatch, which is making it really possible for me to counter his forces. You can see we are going to shatter the Ripperdactyls. We are going to beat Tic-Tac-Toe, and yeah, that's going to be a victory for the Druchii. And you can see that his cohorts of Sotek refuse to die. They are unbreakable, it seems. So yeah, we're going to kill the last models. And yeah, we'll go ahead and look at the in-screen breakdown and talk about some of the keys for my success. What is the obvious one, guys? What comes to mind first off? The range power in which we had in this game. I mean, it really does counter the new units that the Lizardmen have. So yeah, guys, the Black Orc Corsairs of Hambows, they counter the Ripperdactyls, they counter the Pterodactyls, they counter the red-crested skink. So yeah, what I'm trying to get at is these guys are the answer to the new DLC units, because the Lizardmen are so powerful. The meta has changed. You cannot just go muscle to muscle with the Lizard. Like if you did just a few Harganeth Executioners and things like that, you would just get destroyed by the Ripperdactyls hitting your back line, cycle charging you, and things like that. And also the red-crested skinks are just a really cheap way. You have to pay $1,100 to get your Harganeth Executioner, whereas he brings $600-700 or something for the red-crested skink. So it's just not a very viable, smart trade to take. You really need to find something that kind of equals that out. Same with the Lord, guys. I don't recommend going really powerful on the Lord unless you're trying to surprise your opponent. Take a Dreadlord or take a Supreme Sorceress, somebody who's going to allow you to go wider on your line, who's going to have a small profile, and it's really risky taking the air. So be mindful of that. The Shades were my wild card pick, but yeah, you saw we were able to do a lot lot of damage. We were able to focus down his caster. We were able to support my infantry whenever it was needed, and yeah, it worked out. The bolt thrower kept him honest. You could see that he didn't really have an answer to it. So if your opponent doesn't bring a lot of cav or little velociraptors and things like that, you're going to be able to put pressure on him and force a mistake. And the Cold Wind Knights, they did their job. We were able to get into Chameleon Skinks, but you saw how the Colossadon Riders were able to melt him and chew him. The Supreme Sorceress, just the Sorceress, I did get off one Purple Sun. It did a little bit of damage to his Legion of Chakwa, but it is what it is. My opponent was wisely debuffing her Winds of Magic, but I did get a Spirit Leech off, and I was able to kill him. And guys, besides that, the Blacker Corsairs are plenty enough to deal with Red Crested Skinks. You have your one unit to deal with Temple Guard. So I guess the moral of the story is this is a pretty good build to deal with this kind of build of the Lizardmen. Now, if he'd went really heavily Dino build, something like that, this might work too. I might cut a few things. I might cut one of these guys and maybe, make a few little tweaks to have maybe one more Cold Wind Knight, but I really think this build could be pretty reliable. And you could swap out the Sorceress for whatever spells you feel would be more, fitting for the matchup. A Beast Sorceress with a Manticore would be always good, even though they're going to have a lot of air supremacy. If you're really patient, with it, you could really get some value out of that. Of course, Shadow Sorceress would be really good with DPS spells like Pit of Shades and Feebling Foe, and things like that. And as for Spartan Lord, this is really cool. It was really cool of him to try a new DLC build, and I really liked this build. He was really killing it with the Wind Blast, and really doing as good as he could with the Ripper Dactyls and things like that. So he's really good, guys. He's a really good opponent. So wait till you see the battle, which we did ground force kind of thing in the first game that we played. So anyways, I hope that helps you guys with this matchup. I hope it kind of gives you some ideas. Obviously, feel free to experiment, make a few tweaks here, but the overall idea behind this will work. So all right, it's Atticus. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you later. Bye bye now.